All right, good people. Here we are in video number 3, dealing with motion. Here, we are not given an equation, we are given a graph. So let's see what type of graph we are given. The graph below models the velocity, of a bug on the interval between 0 and time between 0 and 13. So we're only dealing with this interval of time between 0 and 13. Remember, this graph is the velocity graph. So they labeled t on the horizontal axis. Let's label v on the horizontal axis. We're looking for v of 3 in part A. Okay, so v of 3. Well, this is the graph of v. So if I go looking when my time is 3, my velocity is 6. So v of 3 equals 6. We're also looking for v of 11. So if I go looking at time 11, my v is negative 1. So v of 11 equals negative 1. Uh, yes. And just like that, whammo bammo, we're done. We don't need anything else. We don't need to find a derivative because we only find a derivative in order to get the velocity if we start with the position, but we're starting with the velocity. So we're good. When I look at part B, however, now we're looking for the acceleration. But acceleration is the derivative of velocity. So acceleration is the derivative of velocity. But another word for derivative is slope. So acceleration is the slope of velocity. So since I'm given the velocity graph, the acceleration is just the slope of the graph. So when I'm asking you to find A of 1 says when time is 1, what's the slope of this part of the graph? Well, what's the slope at that blue dot, but blue point? But what is the slope of this segment? Well, the slope is 1, 2 up, 1 over. So that would be 2. A of 5 says when time is 5, what's the slope of the graph at that point? Well, that segment is horizontal, so A of 5 is 0. And then finally, A of 9 is right here. And when I look at this part of the graph looks like it goes 2 down, 1 over. So this would be negative 2. And just like that, we have our answers for A and B. Okay, so far so good. Let's go to part C. At what time does the bug turn around? Give a reason for your answer. Well, we said that we know if the bug turns around if the velocity changes signs. If the velocity goes from positive to negative or from negative to positive. So when I'm looking at this graph is the velocity. So the velocity is positive, 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 and then it's negative, 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 negative. So where does it change directions? It changes directions at time 9 because the velocity changes signs. There's your justification, and there's the answer. The answer is at time 9 because the velocity went from positive to negative. You can say because it changed signs, but something that signifies that the velocity is different on one side of that point to the other side of the point. Alrighty, next one. On what interval does the bug have a negative acceleration? Negative acceleration. Well, that means when is the slope of velocity, because that's what acceleration is, negative. So the slope is negative. Where's the slope negative? Well, the slope is positive here. It's going up. The slope is 0 here. Oh, the slope is negative here. So therefore, we can say between time 6 and time 10, the bug has negative acceleration. So time between 6 and 10. So on this interval, the bug has negative acceleration because the slope of velocity is negative. You can also say because velocity is decreasing, so between 6 and 10, the slope is negative, therefore the velocity is decreasing, and that's where we have negative acceleration. Awesome. So far, so good. So now we get to the last part. How many times is the speed of the bug equal to 2? Well, wait, speed. That's something. The speed. Speed is the absolute value of velocity. Absolute value of velocity. So, not a parentheses, an absolute value bar. So that means I'm looking for 2. Well, you would say, oh, look here. Let's stay on the line. So that could be here, or that could be here. But remember, this is velocity, and velocity has positive and negative values. So the other place it could be is down here at this point. So there's 3 different places. Velocity is -2, velocity is +2. But speed, which is the absolute value, could be any one of these 3 spots. It could be at 1, it could be at 8, or it could be at 10. And those are my 3 possible times. At time 1, time 8, and time 10. Because speed is the absolute value of velocity is 2 at those times. And we finished example number 2. Just like that. Oh, I didn't answer the question. I said at those times, the speed is equal to 2. But the question was how many times? So I guess I should answer the question and say at 3 times. And then that should take care of my my question there.